Welcome to Mississippi's first and hopefully only virtual annual Public Humanities Awards. I am Sharman Bridges Smith, Chair of the Mississippi Humanities Council. When the 2020 awards ceremony had to be canceled due to the COVID pandemic, the hope was to again hold the 2021 event in person here at the Old Capitol Museum. However, to continue to ensure the safety of everyone, we have had to adjust again in response to the pandemic. Regardless of how we come together tonight, we are here to honor outstanding scholars, teachers, organizations, and individuals who have made significant contributions to the public humanities in Mississippi. These trying times have made the humanities even more essential. The humanities advance human connection, even as we connect over computer screens. They help us understand the historical and cultural context of today's challenges, help us see the world through others' eyes, and most importantly, foster the empathy needed to bridge our divides. Tonight's winners remind us of the power of the humanities in understanding the world and building connections. This is at the heart of the work of the Mississippi Humanities Council. Every year, the Council recognizes an outstanding humanities teacher from each of our state's colleges and universities. This year, we are honoring both the 2020 and the 2021 recipients. Throughout tonight's program, these outstanding teachers will be highlighted. Thank you again for streaming this Public Humanities Awards program and for your support of the cultural life of our state. As you learn more about the outstanding work of the Humanities Council this evening, please consider a donation at the link below to help continue bringing the humanities to the people of Mississippi.
Scholars are central to the work of the Mississippi Humanities Council. We help connect humanities scholars and their insights with public audiences across the state, encouraging scholars to broaden their focus and have a wider public impact. The Humanities Scholar Award recognizes those who have done an outstanding job engaging public audiences. This year, we honor someone who worked through our Museum on Main Street and Speakers Bureau programs to engage audiences across the state.
The 2020 Humanities Scholar Award is presented to Dr. James Giesen, an Associate Professor of History at Mississippi State University. Dr. Giesen was the State Scholar of the Smithsonian Institution's traveling exhibition, Waterways, which toured Mississippi in 2018 and 2019. As State Scholar, Dr. Giesen worked closely with each of the 6 host sites to explore the impact of water on the state's history, culture, and economy. As each host site developed public programs and exhibits in conjunction with Waterways, Dr. Giesen provided scholarly feedback and suggestions. He also created a historical talk about water in Mississippi, which he tailored specifically for each of the 6 host sites and presented a free public program in their communities. As a member of the Mississippi Humanities Council's Speakers Bureau, Dr. Giesen has spoken to audiences about the history and cultural meaning of the boll weevil and the image of the farmer in American popular culture. For his dedication to public humanities, we are pleased to present the Humanities Scholar Award to Dr. James Giesen.
Hello, good evening, everyone. To begin my thanks, I just want to tell a quick little story. And, of course I wrote it down because, well, I'm a writer. So I grew up in Michigan, and I went to a little college in Indiana for school, and it was my very first semester, my very first year of college, where I had this professor named John Dittmer, and it was the first history class I ever took. And John Dittmer had lived in Mississippi for a while. He taught at Tougaloo, and about the time I was taking the class, he was publishing this book called Local People: The Struggle for Civil Rights in Mississippi. And over the course of that semester and many classes that I took from Professor Dittmer later, he taught this ignorant Midwesterner a great deal about Mississippi and the South and its history. And he, more than any other person I've met, set the path that I followed to the South, both as a home and as an intellectual home. I mention this because I think it's a testament to the power of Mississippi's stories, or probably put more precisely, the power of Mississippians' stories. They captured me as a young student, and they continue to capture me in my research and in my teaching and in my life today, so many years later. It's these stories, I think, that form the backbone of Mississippi Humanities Council's work. So I see any recognition of my research as a recognition of the network of scholars who work in the humanities in this state, a state that, as everyone knows who's watching this, has as rich a history of humanities as any state in the Union, but at the same time, sometimes has to fight hard to maintain those humanities programs. And I want to thank not only the Council for this award, but all the folks who work with the Council, all of its partners, from libraries to museums to universities and colleges to prisons, to all those people who make humanities research in this state possible. And of course the readers, the people who attend the lectures, who go to the museum exhibits. Finally, special thanks to Stuart and Caroline and Carol for making my year as a Smithsonian state scholar so easy and so much fun. So thanks specifically to them. I wish we could all be there in person, in particular because I would love to meet the fellow award winners. I hope our paths cross very soon. Thank you.
Partnerships and collaboration are central to the work of the Mississippi Humanities Council. Our natural orientation is outward, and we are always looking to expand our partnerships to bring the benefits of the humanities to people across Mississippi. The Humanities Partner Award recognizes organizations that have worked with the Council to provide programs that reach new or expanded audiences. This year, we are pleased to recognize an organization that shares our commitment to collaboration.
Over its 6 years, the Mississippi Book Festival has grown into the state's preeminent literary event, drawing acclaimed writers from across the country and thousands of book lovers to the state capitol complex each August. This literary lawn party presents an array of panels and speakers that speak to people of all ages and interests. With a small staff and large team of volunteers, the Mississippi Book Festival works closely with many of the state's cultural organizations to have a significant statewide impact year-round with programs, podcasts, and outreach to schools. We are proud the Mississippi Humanities Council has been a vital partner to the festival throughout its existence. The festival has fostered a love of reading among Mississippians, young and old, and enriched the cultural life of our state. And so, it is our honor to recognize the Mississippi Book Festival with the Humanities Partner Award.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ellen Daniels, Literary Director of the Mississippi Book Festival. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the festival, I'm honored to accept the 2020 Partner Award from the Mississippi Humanities Council. The Mississippi Humanities Council has been an ardent supporter of the festival from the very beginning. The council has provided funding, especially critical in 2020, helped broaden our audience, and given us a national platform by connecting us with the National Endowment for the Humanities. The Mississippi Book Festival provides a unique opportunity for many wonderful organizations to join together for a singular purpose. The festival, through its panel programming, festival exhibits and marketplace, and year-round community outreach, has created an umbrella for government organizations, public universities, private foundations, and many others to think collaboratively and share resources, producing a festival that highlights the best of Mississippi authors and encourages our young writers. Our literary lawn party celebrates the best of the humanities and proudly illuminates our state for all the world to see. Thank you.
The Mississippi Humanities Council Grants Program empowers communities to preserve and share their important local stories. In many cases, these stories have been unheralded or overlooked, but they offer a fuller account of our state's complicated past. This year, our Preserver of Mississippi Culture Award recognizes an outstanding grant-funded project led by a coalition of community leaders that used an array of methods to tell a local Delta story that had a national impact.
In 1971, in Shaw, Mississippi, Andrew and Mary Lou Hawkins, with the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, organized the black citizens of their town to file a class action lawsuit challenging the town's white leadership over the unequal distribution of municipal services. In a landmark decision, a federal court found in favor of the plaintiffs. With a grant from the Mississippi Humanities Council to Delta Hands for Hope, the Storyworks Theater Company collected oral histories and researched court records to create Wade Through the Water, a dramatic account of how the Hawkins family challenged the city's unfair distribution of resources. The stage play, followed by a community conversation, along with historical markers, celebrated the importance of the lawsuit and honored the bravery of the Hawkins family and the continuing impact of their activism. For illuminating the efforts of a Delta family to fight racial injustice in their community, the Preserver of Mississippi Culture Award goes to the Hawkins versus Town of Shaw project.
Hello, I'm Mayor Everett Stanton of Shaw, Mississippi. Shaw is a small rural town located in the Mississippi Delta, just off of U.S. Highway 61. We have made several contributions to local, state, and national history that we are very proud of. But the one we are honoring with this award is Hawkins versus the Town of Shaw.
Thanks to the generous support of many donors, including the Mississippi Humanities Council, in October of 2019, we were able to host the 50th commemorative celebration in honor of Hawkins versus the Town of Shaw. The commemoration included a pop-up museum, the renaming of U.S. Highway 61 within the city limits of Shaw to the Andrew and Mary Lou Hawkins Memorial Highway, a reunion for members of the Shaw Civil Rights Movement, and a live theatrical play titled Wade Through the Waters that I co-wrote with Ms. Aaliyah Wright.
The case garnered the attention of several prominent civil rights lawyers, Jonathan Shapiro, Mel Leventhal, Jack Greenberg, Reuben Anderson, and others.
The precedents set by Hawkins versus Town of Shaw allowed it to become a template for municipal equalization cases.
it became a major part of hood. Hawkins versus Town of Shaw is used in lawsuits around the country.
Hawkins versus the Town of Shaw has been cited in countless court cases, such as Hadnot versus the city of Prattville, Alabama in 1970, Johnson versus the city of Arcata, Florida in 1978, Dowdell versus the city of Apopka, Florida in 1981, and Ammons versus the Dade City, Florida in 1984.
Andrew and Mary Lou Hawkins were my parents. They were civil rights pioneers on the front line of the movement. Hawkins versus the city of Shaw was a class action lawsuit in 1969 over the municipal service and infrastructure between black and white neighborhoods. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court. My family endured a lot of pain and suffering. My mother was murdered along with my brother and two of my children. On behalf of my sisters, Nola Mae and Mary Sue, and the rest of my family, I want to thank the City of Shaw, members of the Commemoration Committee, everyone else, and the Mississippi Humanities Council for their support and recognition.
The Mississippi Humanities Council believes the humanities are for everyone, and we strive to reach Mississippians of all ages and backgrounds. Our family reading programs are designed to engage younger children and their parents in award-winning children's literature and thoughtful discussion about its themes. We created the bilingual Luciernicus Family Reading Program to serve our state's Hispanic population. We are pleased to present our Educator Award to someone who has helped bring the value of the humanities to this growing community.
The 2020 Humanities Educator Award is presented to Marta Smally for her continued dedication to the Luciernicus Family Reading Program at the M.R. Dye Public Library in Horn Lake, Mississippi. Since the library began hosting the Mississippi Humanities Council's bilingual Luciernicus Family Reading Program over 10 years ago, under the leadership of librarian Carson Culver, Smally has helped organize the annual 7-week program, recruited family participants, and translated the bilingual Spanish-English program. Since 2019, Smally has served as discussion leader for the program, engaging families in meaningful discussion about their lives, inspiring them to take pride in their cultural heritage, and helping them feel connected to their new community. For her dedication to humanities-based learning for Spanish-speaking families in Mississippi, it is our honor to recognize Marta Smally with the Humanities Educator Award.
The Mississippi Humanities Council has been very near and dear to my heart for over 10 years. I have enjoyed working with Stuart and Caroline to bring literacy and programming to the children and families of our communities. Working with Luciernicus has brought unparalleled joys. I love the fact that I get to work with so many precious families, bring them a little bit of their culture, language, and tradition. As an educator, my favorite part is the fact that I get to empower and encourage each parent with the fact that they are their children's very first and most important teacher. I love to watch as the joy in the children's faces as they first read their very first words, or as they understand the importance of maintaining the ability to speak the language of their ancestors. This program really is life-changing. Luciérnagas has opened the door to more than a dozen other multilingual outreach programs in the Mississippi area and throughout the Mid-South, creating partnerships with school systems, businesses, organizations, all jointly motivated to creating better friends and neighbors. I'm looking forward to continuing my partnership with the Humanities Council for many years to come. I am so thankful beyond measure for this award and for the honor to serve among such a wonderful group of friends and colleagues.
On January the 11th, Dr. Cora Norman, the founding executive director of the Mississippi Humanities Council, passed away. During her 24 years leading the council, Cora blazed a trail that we still follow today. I was hired by Dr. Norman and began work the very next day after I graduated from Jackson State University in 1978, launching my career at the council, which continues to this day. Cora and I worked together for 18 years until her retirement. She was a hardworking and dedicated director who was passionate about making sure our programs and our board represented the diversity of our state, racially, geographically, and especially by gender, as she was a proud feminist. Cora was a mentor and very dear friend to me and my family. I remember when my husband and I bought our first home. And on moving day, as we were unloading cars and trucks, she appeared at lunchtime, out of the blue, with boxes of food and refreshments. That was Cora Norman. She was a caring, thoughtful, generous person who was willing to help anyone. Her service to the people of Mississippi will never be forgotten. In 2015, we created the Cora Norman Award to honor her legacy. Before we present that award tonight, we want to share with you some memories of this Mississippi legend.
I met Cora back in 1973. Very soon after, she was appointed the first executive director of the Mississippi Humanities Council. Cora was a special individual. Cora was a whirlwind in one sense. Cora brought to the Humanities Council a sense of style and substance. Cora would come into those meetings with her high heel shoes on and dressed to the nines and just enthrall us with her commitment to the Humanities Council and her commitment to the community. She brought new light to the humanities, and she brought enlightenment to the state of Mississippi.
Her gift was her ability to bring people together, people with different points of view, different ideas. But they would talk and listen, and they also wanted what was best for our state. She made participation in public discussions, community-based programs, seem like, well, like an adventure. Her background was not in the humanities, but in science and education. She expected community leaders and college professors to provide the ideas and content of the programs funded by the state and national humanities agencies. She would facilitate these public discussions. She'd bring together the communities and the professors. She would encourage civility and fairness, and she would assure balance in political views and in racial makeup.
My fondest memory of her, or at least when we first got to know each other, was when I was teaching at University of Mississippi and Cora was there, and she became president of the American Association of University Women. She quickly encouraged and engaged me to join the organization with her, and I became the secretary. We have many fond memories of her, but that's one of the highlights in when we first began to know each other. I served on the council for a number of years and actually had an opportunity to serve as chair under Cora. It was an absolutely wonderful experience, and we spent many hours, all of the members, engaged in activities that were major contributions all over the state of Mississippi through the Humanities Council.
Well, I could say that first, I think Mississippi owed Cora a deep, great thank you of gratitude. And why I say that, because Cora in her face-to-face meetings throughout the state, as part of the Humanities Council, early part of the Humanities Council, of black leaders and white leaders coming together as equal to talk about how we can work together to make Mississippi better. And I think Mississippi is a much better state as a result of those efforts by Cora. Cora also made me join the Humanities Council. I served a term, and then when she decided to retire, she made me take a seat on the Mississippi Arts Council board, where I still serve. So we owe Miss Cora a whole lot, and we're missing her, but will always be a part of our family, and always in our memories and our prayers. So rest on, Cora. You have earned your right to rest now.
For me personally, Cora Norman enlarged my world. She gave me a legitimate way as a professor of English to participate in public discussions of social policies. Public kindergartens, voting rights, land use, equal rights amendment, eminent domain. All of these different issues were aired and debated and discussed. And so for 35 years, Cora gave us the kind of leadership that went a long way to making this a better place.
Cora Norman's impact on Mississippi is something to behold. I point out often that Dr. Norman did more for race relations than probably any one person in the history of our state.
Cora's contribution, in addition to the state of Mississippi, went far beyond. Cora we traveled together in China and in South Africa, I think, and also in India. And during those trips, one of the things that was most outstanding is helping to formulate ideas and an understanding of the role of women and the status of women, not only in the South and in the United States, but even in other countries as well. She was just a wonderful person, and we will certainly miss her, but her memory and her contributions will last forever.
Hey there, I'm Susan Glsen, and it's a pleasure to be with you. I live in Oxford, Mississippi, which for a small town is overflowing with writers and artists and famous people. I'm convinced if I stay here long enough, eventually, I will meet every famous person. The first year I was here, I got to meet the historian C. Vann Woodward. The second year, I got to show Alice Walker and Tracy Chapman around town. In 2008, I made quite the fool of myself when I got to meet Governor Bill Richardson on the Oxford Square. But all of those moments fade into insignificance when I remember the night that a stunningly gorgeous woman sat down beside me on someone's front porch. It was yet another conference in Oxford, and this person struck up a conversation with me. I was immediately enthralled. Thank God I didn't know who she was, or I would have been tongue-tied beyond repair. There was very little small talk in our first conversation. She went right to the heart of whatever it was we were discussing. Luckily, the smart folks in Oxford kept inviting her back to town, and over the years we made a point of getting connected, and we became friends. Natasha is the kind of friend who will not let you assault a drunk woman who is hitting on your life partner in a bar in New Orleans. And once she prevents you from imprisonment, with a few well-chosen words, she dismisses that woman from the table. I know that Natasha has got my back. I was astounded one time when we were sitting on the porch at City Grocery, and she proceeded to order a glass of champagne. I inquired as to the special occasion. She laughed patiently, and then she changed my world, saying, "I don't wait to celebrate every moment I have with the people I care about. They are often gone too soon." It wasn't until much later that I learned of Natasha's devastating loss of her mother at such a young age. Just last year, she faced that horrific moment and the events that led to it. In a moving and exquisite memoir, she both honors her mother and shows us that it is possible to create meaning and purpose out of the darkest days of our lives. Natasha takes moments that are ugly and mean and hateful and looks at them clearly and honestly and thoughtfully. She finds people who society has rendered invisible, and she makes us see them anew or for the first time. That view changes us and makes us better because it enlarges our story of who we think we are. She expands our circle of humanity. Above all else, Natasha's life and work remind me that in a world full of despair and turmoil, there is also hope and joy. She teaches us that you shouldn't wait to celebrate life, that in fact all life deserves to be held sacred and fought for every single day. Natasha understands something that far too many of us do not. Structures of oppression and dehumanization are meant to stifle beauty, which Keats reminded us is another word for truth. They're meant to impose a sense of who is worthy and who is not, to render people invisible, to silence us in service to greed and supremacy. Inequitable systems are meant to kill your story and mine and replace it with a lie. I told you before that Natasha has my back, but she also has yours too. Natasha stands in the breach against all that would diminish our humanity, and she says, "No, not on my watch." She does this, as all great artists do, by embracing her own pain and grief and loss, and finding meaning and purpose on the other side of catastrophe. Albert Camus wrote once, "We all carry within us places of exile, our crimes, our ravages. Our task is not to unleash them on the world. It is to transform them in ourselves and others." Natasha does this necessary and sacred work to show us the way. Of the many profoundly amazing people in Mississippi that I've gotten to meet and that the state has produced, Natasha is among the finest. It is therefore my great honor to bestow upon my friend, on behalf of the Mississippi Humanities Council, its highest honor, the Cora Norman Award for the significant contributions that Natasha makes to public humanities.
Thank you, my dear friend. It is my great honor to accept this award in memory of the late Cora Norman. I have often quoted poet W.H. Auden's words in his elegy for the great Irish poet, William Butler Yeats, to make sense of my calling and my fraught relationship to my native land. "Mad Ireland hurt you into poetry," he wrote. Likewise, my Mississippi inflicted my first wound. When I was born here in 1966, my parents' interracial marriage, because of anti-miscegenation laws, was illegal, rendering me illegitimate in the eyes of the law, persona non grata. All of us carry some existential wounds, and it's a good thing, because as the poet Rumi wrote, the wound is the place where the light enters you. In that spirit, I have returned again and again to my home state, the place that made me, that hurt me into poetry, and that continues to be the great wellspring from which I write to make sense of our shared history for all of its difficult knowledge and its terrible beauty, and to participate in our ongoing pursuit of justice. I have wanted to give back to my home state in the best way that I can, and this award means so much to me because it is recognition of that effort. In my work, I have wanted to tell the truth about my beloved Mississippi because telling the truth is a form of patriotism and a form of justice. Poet Edward Hirsch wrote, "The poet wants justice. The poet wants art. In poetry, there can't be one without the other." So, in closing, I'd like to read you a poem. It begins with an epigraph from Justice Hugo Black in 1964. No right is more precious in a free country than that of having a voice in the election of those who make the laws under which, as good citizens, we must live. Other rights, even the most basic, are illusory if the right to vote is undermined. Quotidian. Sometimes she wrote about the weather, how hot it was, or yet another lightning storm gone as quick as it came. In the catalog of her days, a dress she was sewing, car trouble, payday, laced with declarations of love to the man who would become my father. Her body bright with desire, a threshold I would soon cross into being. 2 years before loving will make their love legal, my mother writes about marrying despite an unjust law. And because it is 1965, Mississippi in turmoil, she writes about a cross burned at the church next door, interracial outings at the beach, and being followed by police. All of it side by side in her letters' tidy script. Reading them, I can't help thinking how ordinary it seems. Injustice, mundane as a trip to the store for bread. And I know this is about what has always existed, side by side, in this country. That summer, my grandmother brought the movement home. It tells the story in pictures, and it is beautiful, my mother wrote, adding, I think you know the way I am using the word. On the cover, a black protester caught in a cop's chokehold, his mouth open to shout or gasp for air. Inside, pictures I could not bear to look at as a child, a man tied to a scaffold, his body burned blacker, the fire still smoldering beneath him. 2 boys hanged from a tree above the smiling white faces of the revelers turned back toward the camera, a young couple holding hands, ordinary as any night out on a date. Now I think of my mother, in love and writing love letters, cataloging her days, those terrible, beautiful pictures on the table next to the crocheted lace doily and crystal bowl my grandmother kept for candy, butterscotch in cellophane wrappers, bright and shiny as gold. It is July 20th, 1965, 2 months before my parents will break the law to be married, and my mother, who's just turned 21, signs off, her rights basic as any other citizens. Have to run, she wrote. Got to get downtown to register, to vote. As a daughter of Mississippi, I am honored to accept the Cora Norman Award in her memory and in the memory of my mother, Gwendolyn. Thank you.
Before we close tonight, I would like to thank all of our winners for their contributions to the humanities in our state and for working with us on this most unusual Humanities Awards ceremony. I also want to thank our sponsors for this evening, including Bancorp South, Sanderson Farms, Trustmark, and the Adora Welty Foundation, as well as the other generous sponsors. If you would like to support our work, we would be extremely grateful if you would click the donate button in the chat or on our website, mshumanities.org. Finally, I want to thank all of you for being our supporters and partners. We are your Humanities Council, and our work would not be possible without you. In the Jewish tradition, we say, next year in Jerusalem, to signify the end of our Passover Seder. And so I will close tonight by saying, next year in Jackson, and hopefully this summer or fall in a town or a county near you. Like all of you, we look forward to the time when we can gather together safely in the same room to connect and learn from each other. Until then, be safe. Thank you and good night.